Hello and welcome to part 3 of, well, my cool, fun hammer tutorial videos. In this video, we're going to be making a simple Akira elevator, which you may have seen in Half-Life 1 or at the end of episode 2 in the missile silo. So I'm just going to place down some brushes first and just kind of explain what I'm doing along the way. So the first brush is just the platform brush that everything's going to lay on. The brush that I'm making now is going to be the actual platform or the track that the elevator is going to take. And I'll explain why I'm making this so steep. And then we have to make where the elevator is going to rest. So I'm going to make this just a block sized under the ramp. So it's going to be a wall here that's going to close off this, and then we're going to add another wall basically here, and then I'm just going to come into the dev texture area and just retexture a bunch of these so that way we can see basically. So that's going to get retextured, that's going to get retextured, just so we can see what we're looking at exactly down there. Okay, that looks good. Next. Nope. Sorry about that. Okay. So next, we need to make the actual physical platform. The physical platform, we're just gonna say fuck it, make it a 3x3. So here's the part that's actually gonna be moving. So what we need to do is we need to make this part a func underscore track train, and then we're just gonna name it elevator. So what this is gonna allow us to do is, oops, sorry, I keep pressing Control S. Let me just save this real quick. Elevator prefab. There we go. Okay, sorry about that. So what this is going to allow us to do is actually move this platform all the way down to the bottom here, you know, like in Akira or like Half-Life 1, which is what I'm going to basically keep referencing here. So after we make that, we go and we make the grid size smaller because we need to place down two particular entities and we need to center them on the track here. So these entities are just going to be called path underscore track, and we're just going to name them, to keep them simple, path 1, and the next top target will be path 2. And then we're going to hit apply. Don't worry that path 2 is in the red yet, because it's just not made. Now, when we look at this brush right here, we can see there's an X here when we click off it. This is the center point of the total brush's size. What we want to do is we want to match the path track up to the center point. That's why I like to go to a smaller grid size just to do this. Now we need to place down path track 2. But in order to get this straight, what we're going to do is we're going to line up basically where we want the resting point. And let me just expand this really quick. So like this, and then lower that. So what we want is we want the resting point. So when the elevator is completely down, we want it to be you know, resting maybe in a pit or just floating. It doesn't really matter. We just want it to be resting where it is. And we want to get the path track as close as we possibly can to that area. So this just helps us line up what we're doing here. So we're going to place down another path track, and then we're going to name this path 2. Boom. Now there's the next stop target. Now we're just going to do the same thing, line it up to the center on all of the axes. Make sure it's just centered completely. Actually, that's not centered. Give me 1 second here. We want to make sure that the bottom part, and you can use the top view for this, the bottom part lines up with the top part, and that we get a nice straight line on the path. So, as you can see, if we look at the top view, that's straight. If we look at the bottom view, that's straight. Now, we want this to be straight because any deviation is basically going to kill the illusion, and you're also going to have some minor clipping. So we're just going to save that, and that should be good for now. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to add a nice button. So I'm going to go into dev textures and just find another texture that we can use for the button. We're also going to delete this bottom platform here. We no longer care about it. Everything's all centered, so this will move in a basically as perfect of a straight line as you can get it. We're just going to make a quick 3x3, move this up so it's on the platform. Move it down a little bit so the player can push it. This is just going to be a button stand where we can put our button to move it. So there we go. We're just gonna make this a func underscore brush. And now this part doesn't matter. We're just making the trigger to get the elevator to move, basically. Func brush is gonna be named elevator trigger. Next, the parent is just gonna be elevator. So parenting is just gonna mean that this brush follows this brush basically where it is in the world space. We're gonna make the top just a func button because again it's got to be our trigger. The parent is going to be elevator trigger. Is that what we named that? Yeah, that's what we named that. This is just gonna be elevator button for posterity's sake. We're gonna click don't move so the button does not move. Okay, so now we come back to the path underscore track. What we want is no user control, fixed orientation, Half-Life 1 train, and is unblockable by a player. That means that this elevator, if the player somehow gets under the elevator will keep moving and will basically crush the player to death. No user control means that the player cannot press E on this elevator and control it Half-Life 1 style. Fixed orientation means that how it is in the world space currently, everything and where it's facing is how it's going to be. It will not turn, it will not suddenly, shapeshift into another thing. It won't change direction when given that. And Half-Life 1 train is basically, it's just used for all simple trains moving in a straight line. Half-Life 2 does allow trains and path tracks to move on curves and will actually turn them. Half-Life 1 train will not do this, basically. It's just a fixed orientation train. It was used in the tram section and some sections of On a Rail. And I know that can get confusing because those trains do turn, but just trust me on that. Okay, so this is all nice and set up and parented. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna add a on press to the button. We're going to do we're gonna target the elevator itself, and we're gonna say start forward. So theoretically, when we press this, it's gonna move down forward. So we're just gonna come over here real quick, and then we're just gonna close this off so we don't have any leaks. And we're just gonna make this big. There we go. Lower this down. So again, we don't have any leaks. It doesn't really matter. I'm just making a wall here, basically. Just again, so the map does not leak and we don't have any errors. Okay, so let's move this up here, expand this down one, copy and paste this down to the floor, just so we know that we're not going to have any issues here. Everything looks good, everything looks closed off. So we're just gonna, oops, sorry about that. We're gonna turn the player 180 degrees, and now we're gonna run map. We're just gonna run it fast and compile it. So if everything works, when we press E, alrighty. Well, that's a bit of a, oh, I know what I did wrong. Okay, I'm so sorry about that. So we need to go to the path train and do the first stop target as path 1. I forgot about that. I'm an idiot. If you don't do that, what you just saw basically happens. It does not work. All right. All right, and now, let the map load in. Press this, and it starts downwards. So we made this slope very steep so the player can slide down it. Because if the player does not slide down it, or it's not steep enough, you will get the last tile here will clip into the world, basically. And when you're going down, if it's, again, not steep enough, like this, the player will not slide, basically, and can just choose their own, you know, how to go down about it. So if they're sliding, it just makes it more like an illusion, basically, that you're going down. You could also add a kill trigger into the pit to basically force the player, you know, into being here, you know. Half-Life 1 does it in the elevator sequence with the head crabs. They just put, like, gears down here that instantly kill you, and they turn off once the elevator gets down, because it's like, oh, the elevators are blocking the gears. So, there is also a very simple solution to hiding the back, because some people don't want the players to be able to see where the back and the slope meet. So, we're going to do that real quick. It's very simple. We just basically, you can add a clip or a player clip. It just depends on if you just want to recreate the like head crab segment, basically. So we save that, and what we're going to do is we want to make this a func_brush with the name of clip, basically. And we're going to just not look at the flags. Those don't matter. What matters here is start disabled and solidity toggle. That's what matters here. So, let's say we can do on pressed clip. Now we can do enable. Okay. And now we can actually come down here and do, let's see, on pass, clip, disable. So what this is going to do is we're just going to quickly, we're going to run it again. What this is going to do is this should, theoretically, if I did it right, make a clip that prevents the player from seeing the back of the elevator and like where it meets, basically. So let's see if we did it right. Oh, that looks pretty good. And now the clip should, it's not activated. I messed it up. Okay. So what I'm getting at here, it's basically, let's see if I can fix this real quick. What did I do wrong? Start disabled, yes. Let's set flags, on press, clip, enable. I'm going to set that to 2 seconds afterwards. This, I believe, maybe it was the always solid, because it didn't toggle. Let me just check that real quick. Otherwise, you know, I'm just not going to waste your time while I try to fiddle around with this. This is just something that if you care about the finer details of your map, you might want to think about adding. I know Valve really doesn't when they did this with Half-Life 1, and they kind of enclosed you in it, so you couldn't really do it in Half-Life 2. No, it doesn't work. 'Cause theoretically... Oh, I know why it doesn't work. Okay, so we come back here. I'm so sorry. We hit toggle, and we want to parent this to the elevator brush itself. I forgot. I apologize. That's my fault. Because again, we want this to just follow where the path track train is, or where the func track train is going to go down the path. So theoretically, we walk on, and the clip, and we get stuck. We got stuck in the clip. Okay. So let me just redo that, because I am an idiot. So we don't need this 2 seconds anymore. I want to activate instantly. So that doesn't happen. If the player tries to fight it, the moment the elevator starts, it just goes. Okay. I never said I was perfect. All right. So once again, as you can see, you can do this, and you could line the elevator up perfectly. It really doesn't matter, basically. Let me do that. And oh, look at that. We can no longer see the back of the elevator. And as you can see, there should not be any clipping. And there's no clipping, and it lines up pretty damn seamlessly. So, yeah, that's how you do that. Again, the clip isn't really needed. It's just if you don't want to see where the back meets this. And you could extend this, but you would also get some texture clipping that happens as the elevator moves forward and exposes more of this back area. This is just a way to prevent the player from going back and getting stuck within the elevator itself. And you could surround the whole elevator with this if you don't want the player to get stuck. This is just so, you know, they have freedom movement and they can jump down here and, you know, die via kill trigger if they wanted to. So, thank you for joining me. You know, I appreciate all you guys. And yeah, again, the prefab will be in the description, and I will just leave it there. All right. See you next time.